Yeah, I'm
There
looking
we
at
go.
it right now.
We're live now, guys. We're live. Hey guys, welcome to Enter the Ring Live for Tuesday, May the 4th, 2021, with your host, Mighty Mike.
AJ Rage.
and Eric the Red.
Hey guys, sorry for the technical difficulties there. I think we're being watched by the CIA, the FBI, the Homeland
ABCs and the one, two,
Security,
threes.
Joe Biden,
McDonald's.
Kamala Harris. Something's going on. So we were having some technical difficulties the last 10 minutes. So we apologize, but we're here. We're
Yeah,
here.
we are.
Here, Ray talk some boxing, man.
And other stuff.
A lot of stuff going on. Jesus.
Let's do it, man.
A lot of things have developed in the last 24 hours that we've since our show Sunday.
So yeah, so some big Mike, why don't you go ahead and since we were a little late, why don't you go ahead and jump into it and let people know what's going on right now with the big Canelo Sanders bout?
Well, hold on. Let's do that. But you know what? How's everybody doing? Come on. We always start off and let everybody know how you doing. So how you doing, Mikey? How you doing, AJ?
Good. We're good. I'm good.
Doing good, brother, man.
Family good? Okay.
Yeah. Just a little, just these developments in the last 24 hours in boxing. I mean, they're not good for the sport that we love. So
Yeah.
let's talk about them.
Okay.
Obviously, the topic at hand, a lot of people are talking about. It's all over social media, boxing websites, whatever. Is this last minute? I don't know if you want to call it gamesmanship, negotiation breakdown with the Canelo Alvarez, Billy Joe Saunders fight that's supposed to take place this Saturday, Cinco de Mayo weekend in Arlington, Texas. 70,000 tickets sold. Billy Joe Saunders' team is basically threatening. They basically have all but said, we're pulling out of the fight. The fight's not happening. We're booking flights. We're heading home. This all has developed over ring size. The specifics, basically, initially, in the initial, this is what Team Saunders is saying. They're saying initially, it's like a negotiation. I mean, you guys negotiate with your careers. I negotiate with in real estate. So if there's a game, you go, they go high, you go low, and you meet somewhere in the middle. Well, this is what Team Saunders is saying. They're saying that Canelo asked for an 18-foot ring, which he knows would never happen. They wanted a 24-foot ring. So Canelo said, okay, we'll do a 20-foot ring. They're coming down saying we want a 22-foot ring. If it's not a 22-foot ring, we're not fighting, because it basically takes away our game plan. Our game plan is to box and move and whatever, which is kind of shocking. So you're kind of admitting that you're afraid to stand and trade with a guy who physically is much smaller than you. So I don't know what that says about Billy Joe Saunders. You obviously not very confident.
Yep.
I don't think Billy Joe Saunders was confident the day that the inception of this fight. I think I think
he's shaking in his boots.
The writing's on his father's face. The man who created him. You could see the fear in his father. His father's looking for any excuse to get out of this fight. I've said this since the beginning. You said it, and Eric, you mentioned it a few times. How serious is Billy Joe Saunders about this matchup? Or is this just a ploy to kind of get his name back out there? Let this bout drop through, and then maybe people will clamor to want to see Billy Joe in another, ridiculous,
Look at when he tested positive for some nandrolone or whatever that substance was that caused the Demetrius Andrade fight to fall off. It took him well over a year to kind of even get himself back in the contention to even fight again for the title. So This is not going to help him. Now, I think Canelo doesn't look too particularly concerned, because we saw the interviews with Canelo today. Obviously, they did a face-off in which Billy Joe Saunders was a no-show. So they're carrying on like it's business as usual. Team Saunders has gone so far as to say that they knew this was going to happen. So they firmly believe that Canelo may already have a backup opponent, a plan B and a plan C already waiting in the wing. And we talked about this earlier, AJ.
Yeah, he's a good.
Doesn't matter who Canelo fights.
Canelo reports are that John Ryder was already on a plane coming in from England.
Oh,
yeah, I read that too.
Yep.
Well, 70,000 seats have been sold, right? Billy Joe has to understand, yes, you were the B side. He knew that going in. But the dad was saying, well, this is the games that Canelo plays. And everybody that comes in here, they play these games because they're just happy to be there. Yes, sir, no, sir, whatever. But look at, I agree as a champion, Billy Joe. Look at you gotta fight for yourself. But this late in the game, you're gonna try to negotiate 2 feet. And if for those of you that don't know anything about the way boxing rings work, right? It's not a 24 by 24 ring per se. The measurements happen from corner to corner inside the ring, inside where the ropes are. So you got the turnbuckle here, and then you got about a good 1.5 feet, maybe 18 inches to where the turnbuckle or the post, maybe more than that, might be 2 feet where it meets the turnbuckles in the corners. So either way, a 24-foot ring is really about a 21-foot ring on the inside. So what is 2 feet going to make that big of a difference?
No.
I mean,
I don't think, like I said, bro,
it's going to give an excuse. I mean, that's all it is. It's an excuse. Oh,
he's building. He's basically got to build. He's got to build an excuse now.
Yeah,
when he loses, to say, look I couldn't do what I wanted to do because every time I turn around, my back was against the ropes. Blah blah blah.
Here's the way I look at it, brother. No matter what excuse he comes up with, Billy Joe Saunders has thrown away the biggest opportunity of his career. He will never get another opportunity this big in his entire career. Even possible matchups against guys like Gennady Golovkin, Demetrius Andre, Charlo, whoever you throw at him. It will never generate this kind of magnitude and viewership that it's going to get on Cinco de Mayo weekend. Canelo Alvarez and his team own this weekend. They always have owned this weekend. He's been granted this opportunity. He's turning his back on it for these little ridiculous things, but this has not been the only thing Billy Joe's been asking for. They've given him every concession that I'm hearing, at least I'm hearing on my side, what he's been granted. Let me tell you now, I don't see Canelo Alvarez really using tactics to try to get a fight. He's just like, let's do the fight. He wants to put on. He hasn't had a good battle on Cinco de Mayo in a while. You know what I'm saying? So he wants to really bring this back. This is a great opportunity to do this. Because you talk to any Mexican or even white or black, I don't care what color, Cinco de Mayo, you have your beers, you have your nachos, whatever you can eat, and it's Canelo Alvarez against somebody,
Yeah, and years prior to that, it was always Mayweather against somebody. It was always the Kentucky Derby in the morning and afternoon, the fight at night. I mean, it was always the highlight of. Yeah. It was, dude. Age, how many times, dude? I mean, for 15 years consecutively, it was always the same thing. The Kentucky.
I was actually thinking about something after when I found out about this thing with Canelo, when you texted me. And it just so happened I was looking because he had just touched down on his plane.
Yeah.
A guy who's actually still looking for his opponent hasn't been named. And I thought, wow, wouldn't it be something? Jaime Munguia gets thrown into this bout against Canelo. All of a sudden, this goes from, hey, we sold 75,000 seats. We got to open the whole place up. And it's got to happen fast because now you got But I don't see them doing that only because that's a spectacular a spectacular situation in itself.
That's a year or maybe 2 years down the line.
And Jaime's
like a old lion, young lion type thing.
Jaime's actually up in the mountains of Mexico right now. He just arrived there like a day or two ago. He does that high altitude training. There's a camp up there. There's a facility up there that he goes and he trains at. Does a lot of conditioning and stuff. But then he comes back down for the sparring.
But Jaime, they gave him a call right now and said, hey, Jaime.
Oh,
we can't get Billy Joe to fight. You want to come down and fight Canelo Alvarez? I don't even think Jaime will talk dollars. He'll be like, all right, dude, get my stuff, dude, and I'm ready to go.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, where's my shit? Let's go.
He wants that fight. He's been very vocal about it. He wants that fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know, but that would be a fight that needs a lot of preparation because the promo itself is going to sell itself. You don't have to worry about promo shit. I mean, this is Guadalajara versus Tijuana, man, right there. That's all you got to say. Guadalajara versus Tijuana, man. And it is. But
what do you guys think? Okay, if you were a betting man, what would you say the odds were that the fight doesn't happen?
I say for me myself personally right now, I'm going to go probably 3-1 that it doesn't.
3-1 that it doesn't, or it does happen.
It doesn't happen. It doesn't because I'm going to tell you right now. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Billy Joe has had second thoughts.
He's afraid. He's just afraid.
He's a disgrace, man.
And his dad or whoever they're going to make the excuse somehow, some way. They're going to get out. And you know what? I hope the WBO strips him of that damn title.
I hope they do too.
Strips it of him, gives it, or lets somebody else fight for it. And then Canelo could go whoop their ass.
Well, no, if that happens, because Canelo's contractually obligated, he's already probably paid the sanctioning fee to the WBO. He's fighting for that title. What will happen is whatever opponent they bring in, they'll bring the next guy in line, and they'll be fighting for a vacant title on Saturday night. I think the fight still happens. I think this is last minute gamesmanship by Saunders' team. Yes, they're. I think when reality smacks them in the face in the next day or two, they're going to go, God, if we do this, we're pretty much just done. We're like blackballed from the industry, from boxing. We're done. I think he's clamoring to get a little bit more money out of Team Canelo. And at this point, Eddie Hearn will throw a little bit extra money out. Okay, we're not going to give you your 24-foot ring or your 22-foot ring.
No, they can give it to him because I saw Canelo talking with his people today with Eddie Reynoso Sr., and they were like, he can have whatever he wants. That's up to the promotion for them to bring it in. But there's a bigger problem Billy Joe just is going to encounter now. I don't care how many people he brings over the pond. That once hostile crowd in Texas
is now
going to be even Venom and lava and fire are going to be, dude, they are going to have such a disdain for Billy Joe Saunders.
Oh, yeah.
Billy Joe was going to feel this heat outside and inside the ring. When he even gets knocked out, I guarantee this man is going to get pelted with beers as he's walking back to his dressing room. It's going to be a nightmare.
You're right, dude. It's going to be a la Casa Zoo when he fought Chavez in Phoenix.
No,
Greg Hagen when he fought
Hagen and Chavez. Yep.
Yeah. They're going to just,
Because here's the thing is,
I agree.
I can tell you right now, Billy Joe's dad was making, accusations, it's not like, Canelo's ever always fought out, trying to insinuate when Canelo tested dirty. I'm thinking, well, so did your son, so you need to shut up.
Yeah, that's an argument. Yeah, you just leave that alone.
The tactics that are being used here, I can tell you right now, who's the stem of it coming right to you. And I hate to say it because I really like the guy, but it's Tyson Fury. I'm going to tell you right now. Tyson Fury's notorious for this stuff.
Head games.
Yeah, he's trying to do a way where, let's really get in Canelo's head. And
it's not going to work, man.
It's not going to work, man.
I read an article today.
Real quick. When did Tyson Fury become this boxing guru? Don't get me wrong. He's got some skill, but let's be honest. Who he beat in Deontay Wilder, okay, to me, honestly, is not the best heavyweight. He was just a guy that was blessed with a big punch. But technically, he's not the best heavyweight in boxing.
No. You're right. Yeah. Eric, what were you going to say? You read something today about this?
No, I read something. I read something how Tyson Fury is actually in the ear of Billy Joe Saunders, and he's just talking and they have to do it for you. And blah. You know what?
Like I said, I think
fight you dumbass.
I think it's gamesmanship. I do, and I like Tyson, but you're right, AJ. He is pretty good at playing the mind. You remember when he fought Vitaly Klitschko? There was all kinds of mind games, and then there was a couple fights that didn't happen. They got postponed for whatever reason.
He was going to pull out of the Klitschko fight because remember the glove situation. He wanted to wear a certain type of gloves. They wouldn't let him wear them. And at the very last minute, he decided, and they gave him what he wanted.
I think what bothered me most about the situation was listening to Billy Joe Saunders' dad talk, and him talking like, "Well, what Canelo and what this is, what's happening to us is so indicative of a fighter coming over here to America and fighting." It's like, dude, have you not like don't throw stones when you live in a glass house, because the last time I checked, UK was notorious for just, bad decisions. Horrible refereeing, one-sided. Just completely
nobody gets a fair shot in the UK.
Stacking the deck against the American or the foreign fighter, big time. So when this guy was saying this, it was a little bit like, man, you got to be, don't draw attention. You're drawing attention to, you know what?
It doesn't matter. If the fight does go on,
it's going to happen.
Saunders gets knocked out. Period. Because Canelo's done. Quite honestly, I think he's going to go in there with a vengeance, just like everybody else that's going to be in that studio. He's going to go in and he's going to end him quick.
You remember Canelo's last fight against Yildirim, a guy that he used as a sparring partner several times. We thought, and I made the prediction, Canelo's going to carry him for a few rounds because of the respect. No, he liked the guy and he went right after him. He doesn't like Billy Joe Saunders. Oh my God! This could now. If Billy Joe Saunders possessed any power, I would tell Canelo, "Hey, be careful because you don't want to just go in cold and get clipped." He doesn't have the strength to dent Canelo Alvarez. He just doesn't possess that.
Canelo's been hit way.
Yeah, by much bigger, better fighters than him. Yeah. So, I don't know, man. I think the fight still happens, guys. I think we're gonna come to Saturday and go, yeah, you know what? Maybe it sells a few more DAZN subscriptions. I don't know, but at this point, 70,000 people have already purchased tickets. The fight's sold out. I think they're allowing 70,000 people in the arena. It's sold out. It's been sold out. And like you said, AJ, that Venom. But we said something earlier. It doesn't matter who Canelo fights. If they pull, it doesn't. Last minute John Ryder, whoever, it doesn't matter because people are there to see Canelo Alvarez do his thing on Cinco de Mayo weekend. This is Arlington, Texas. I've been to that stadium. Bro. It's a great stadium. It's it's a great area. There's restaurants everywhere, and Texas is wide open. They still let you tailgate in the parking lot and have fun. It's going to be a great atmosphere. I wish we could be there this weekend, but obviously, but
I'm telling you, but at this point in boxing right now, it's been a steady fast. It's been positive out there in boxing this year, even through all the COVID situation and stuff and the restrictions.
We got some great fights.
Boxing is somehow being able to peek their head out like a turtle above everybody else and have, even at the bubble was able to, accommodate some really good bouts this year and stuff. We had some marquee matchups. this is the opportunity where you're starting to get fans back in. The people are excited. And unfortunately, Billy Joe and his team decide, you know what? We're going to be the Grinch who stole Christmas.
Yeah,
Take
exactly.
this stuff away from the people. And it's unfortunate because I hope people remember this. After this whole fiasco is over and Billy Joel picks up his teeth, like I did earlier, and, you know, and stuff, and wipes his tears and goes back, you know, with his beer-soaked dad, and remembers when they fly back to the UK, you know, the sideshow that they try to bring to the United States, and how they thought that you could use these undermining tactics to try to trip up, you know, Team Alvarez. It didn't work. So I hope the fans remember how Billy Joe really is and don't put any faith in this guy. Just stop watching him, and hopefully he'll fade away. And it should be a message to any fighters out there, because you know how many people have sacrificed. There's a lot of people out there that are struggling, and they probably put everything they had just to try to give their family something good for one time. And how many people are panicking and running around trying to figure out, what are we going to do now?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I mean, the people that have booked their flights and the hotels to Texas and the locals, that nothing's going to deter them. They're
but how much of a letdown would that be if it is John Ryder coming in? You expected Billy Joe Saunders. It's a huge letdown.
Yeah, no, it is. It's a huge letdown. You're right. You're right.
Everybody I think should just turn around and do a class action suit against Billy Saunders and make him pay for their damn.
You know what I think of? I think of Canelo's got 50 plus fights, right? What is he? Is he 50 something fights?
Yeah.
50. I think in all his fights, we never heard any complaints from the B side or his opponent. The negotiations have always been that's the one thing about the fights. You were just concerned about his opponent and maybe where the fight was going to take place, but there was never any talk about glove size, ring, referees. I know that there was issues earlier a week or two ago. They were discussing, they want one UK judge, they want one Mexican judge, and they want an American judge, whichever. To me, that really shouldn't matter, because people are interjecting race into the conversation about boxing. It should just be 3 qualified judges. I don't care where they're from. If you really want to make it fair, just make one judge from Japan, one from, I don't know, India, and one from, you know, America.
But what is Billy Joe in the UK giving any fighter that's come over the, you know, across the pond that kind of concession? When have they ever? Every time you look at the bad decision after bad decision, they don't give people the opportunity.
And it's always the same referees. It's always the Howard Foster, and then the same, or one of these other horrible, just completely lost referees inside the ring.
I think at the end of the day, bro, Billy Joe's looking for an excuse that's just not there. So he's going to try to bend something in the air of why he's going to lose.
Well, Eric said it earlier. He said it. Yeah. He's got his built-in excuse now. When he loses this fight, he's going to go, well, it's because of the ring. I wasn't, you know, and next thing you know, they're going to complain about the padding size. Oh, the padding was too soft. It slowed me down. I couldn't, you know, he's looking for an excuse. He was making excuses a week or two ago.
Because he knows he's going to lose.
Yeah.
Deep down in his heart, he knows that he is nowhere near the man enough to fight Canelo. And when this comes, if it comes to pass, I am going to be the biggest, just happiest I've ever been when I see his ass hit the canvas.
Well, I'll tell you now, I've never really been a big fan of Billy Joe Saunders, but now I've really got disdain for him just based on the fact that, like I said, the few opportunities that are out there right now to see some of these key matchups, and this is a unification. This is a huge opportunity for not only Canelo, but for boxing. And he, because of his little tactics, look at the end of the day, the gloves, the shoes, the rings, what color you're wearing to the ring, who's standing on your side, what girlfriend you decided to bring. It's not going to change the end result. The end result's going to be Billy Joe Saunders flat on his back and Canelo standing over him. End of story.
Hey, let me play devil's advocate here, and say this. Eddie Hearn and Team Canelo and whoever was in charge of putting this fight together, you know what? You kind of knew what you signed up for when you agreed to sign this guy to a fight, because this guy's tactics go way back before this.
Even
the
before
Demetrius Andrade fight, even before that, just just the way he just conducts himself. He's been in trouble before with the separate organizations. I think the WBA, somebody sanctioned him because of comments that he was making, insensitive comments, whatever. I mean, look at that's neither here nor there, because everybody's too sensitive these days. But either way, you kind of know what you get when you sign the fight. You kind of sign the fight and just like, you know, I just hope we have a good insurance policy on this guy, because this guy's he's unpredictable. He's unpredictable. He's erratic, and he's a bit of a, you know, where he's known more for this nonsense than he's known for his actual in-ring performances. That's what I believe. Yeah. With the exception of the Lemieux fight, where he looked fantastic, which is easy to do against a one-dimensional David Lemieux. who's obviously several fights past his prime. So,
hey, you know something? I was looking at something earlier, and maybe it's just I'm off on it or something, but I'm noticing a lot of the boxing publications that are out there right now, even BoxRec, are down. They're all down.
Really?
Their servers are down.
huh?
Like go to BoxRec. It's down.
It's Triller. Triller's doing it.
Dude, I'm serious. Earlier today, Fight News was down. Something weird's going on. I'm not trying to get on.
Boxing
BoxRec it's down.
It's down.
Boxing scene is still up.
Boxing scene's up, but they probably haven't got to him yet.
Okay, so there's a new story just came out. It says the issue is sorted. Ring is not a problem. So apparently this is just breaking news. So now he's saying it's not an issue.
Who's not saying that?
Billy Joe just said the Brash Pit later posted videos because good. He said he has good news to share. He says, I'm pleased the issue is sorted out, claims Saunders while lying in bed in his hotel room. Obviously, as you can see, I tagged Canelo from what I heard on my last video. There's not a problem. Thumbs are up. Okay, so the fight's going to happen. Like I said, I think he maybe was able to squeeze another $500,000 out of him or whatever it is. But like you said, he's got his built-in excuse now. So let's just go on. Let's just hope the fight happens, because as much as I want to see a fight this weekend, I'll watch it. I don't care who Canelo fights. But I do want to see him fight Billy Joe Saunders, because this matchup to me, it was intriguing. It has been intriguing because we haven't seen Canelo against that many southpaws since Erislandy Lara, who, in my opinion, is supremely skilled. So it's not the same kind of fight, but Billy Joe is the naturally bigger man. Let's just hope the fight comes off. And I think truth be told, I think Canelo just he walks him down. He ends up stopping him sometime mid to late rounds. I mean, he could do it early. You never know. But
what's the predictions? Same
5 rounds. 5 rounds. Billy Joe's on his
I'm going to give Billy Joe a few more rounds than that, because, like I said, he is good at moving and holding. He'll move and he'll hold. I'm going to say Canelo either beats him in a wide UD or he stops him somewhere after 8 rounds. 8 rounds to close. He stops him, or a wide unanimous. I'm talking like 118 to 110, 120 to 108, something like that.
I'll tell you right now, I'm gonna pull the trump card, and I'm gonna say this. Being that the games have been played by Billy Joe Saunders, but not just these games with this ring, the statements that he's made, how he doesn't care about Canelo, and also it's just one decision after another, and believe me, I think Canelo knows to himself, listen, I'm a fighter. I can go in there and I can beat this guy down and stop him late or win a decision and take his titles, but did I really embarrass him? Canelo's going to embarrass him. I think Canelo's going to do something he hasn't done in a while. He's going to go in there and he's going to go for the early knockout. I'm going for a knockout in either round 2. He's going to hurt Billy Joe towards the end of round 1, stop him around round 2. If Billy Joe, I'm just saying, I just have this feeling that he's going to make short work of this guy, because there's been so much crap that had been put around this event.
His mouth too.
He just is going to because what better gift to give the people, even though people are like, well, I want to see some. No, you don't. You want to see Canelo go in there and punish somebody, knock somebody, just really do something to this guy. I mean, I know it's a remote possibility, but
take away the
I've seen weirder things happen.
Yeah.
Take away the excuses. And
Billy Joe does not have the greatest chin. He takes an okay punch, but like I said, who's ever been in there that's ever been a puncher?
Yeah.
His white boy Ali stuff ain't gonna work against Canelo. He's wide open. He's slow to foot. He's not as fleet-footed as people think he is. He's got some decent speed in his hands, but he doesn't carry any power with it.
Okay, so AJ has the early. I have the middle. I'm like.
I have a late stoppage or just a wide unanimous decision.
Okay. Well, the last time we made predictions, I was like spot on. So I'm gonna cross my fingers and hope that I'm right.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, Mike, what else we got coming up this weekend? I know we got a fight Friday too, right?
You know what? But you're right. BoxRec is down. The undercard on this fight is not particularly excitable. Or exciting. The undercard, I know the big heavyweights fighting, Frank Sanchez. I don't know who else is fighting, but I mean, what is the zone these days to if you get a year subscription? What is it, still $100? So for the year, I think the Canelo fight alone will be worth that price. So we'll see.
Hey, real quick, I don't know if you heard or not, but on the corner on PBC on Fox, there's talk Spence Ugas.
Yeah, I heard that a couple weeks ago. Yeah, that's possibly that's a good fight, man.
Yeah,
Ugas is a big, strong welterweight.
Yeah,
and definitely deserves a shot. You know.
Hey, Michael, do you know if is Munguia going to get anything here soon or?
His fight with Sulecki was rescheduled for June.
Okay.
So he's back in training now. I mean, he never stopped training, but now he's back. So now they have a new fight date, June.
All right.
June 19th, I think, something like that.
Where's that going to be?
Same place and somewhere. I think it's in Texas.
Hey guys, I got to step away for just 1 minute. Wifey thing. I'll be right back, guys.
Sure.
No problem.
Eric, I think when AJ gets back, we're going to get into the situation that arose. I mean, it's boxing related, I guess, but it's actually become more of a human interest story. This Felix Verdejo, the Puerto Rican fighter, the former Puerto Rican Olympian, the guy who had so much promise. A couple of days ago, there was reports that his mistress turned up missing. They found, and so right away, all eyes turned to Verdejo. We'll wait till AJ gets back to the specifics, but we'll talk about that. But
I'm going to turn it on right now, okay?
You're right. Box rec is down. It's funny. So, and boxing scene is kind of frozen right now. There's something going on.
Anything going on at the gym right now with Robert?
Max Castro, the amateur, the 18-year-old kid, he's got his first fight scheduled. He'll be fighting May the 22nd. Is confirmed in Phoenix. So I'm probably going to definitely be heading to Phoenix for that one. This will be his pro debut. He's a kid who's got 140 plus amateur fights. He's only 18 years old. He fights at 118 pounds. He's a phenomenal fighter. He basically
is that the young man I saw when I was there?
Yeah, you met Max. Okay, yeah. Quiet
nice
kid.
Yeah, quiet kid.
Quiet kids. Good kid, man. Good, strong. I mean, he's a great fighter. I mean, he's already naturally gifted, and of course, working with Robert the last several months, he's only getting better. He's getting his balance down. He's actually working.
Work's so important.
Yeah, everything. I mean, so he's got a fight coming up, confirmed May 22nd. I know Robert, I know Renee, and I know Michael are they're Renee's coming off of a situation where he got cut and sparring a few weeks back. So he's got the stitches out. It's healing, but he's just not quite ready. They wanted to, it's still very
really
thin.
Heal,
yeah, they wanted to heal, and it was in the same spot that he had got cut in his last fight at Quiet Canyon in Montebello.
Yeah,
those the cuts that he sustained weren't from punches; they were from headbutts. He fought a Haitian fighter that had this big noggin, and he just nailed him a couple times and cut him. Either way, Renee I know he's clamoring for a fight this month, May. He wants to fight. I think if it was up to Renee, he wouldn't even care if the cut was 100% healed. He's ready to get back in the ring.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's a fighter. I mean, he's a true fighter. You know what I mean? That's what your fighters like Canelo do. I mean, they don't stop. You know what? They want the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. These guys that go, a year between fights,
like Gary Russell, and
it's like, come on, give me a break. It's it's your living. You know what? The more you fight when you're younger and in your prime, and you're actually able to do it, the better.
Well, I think that's why Canelo is basically fighting so regularly now. You remember he fought. This is going to be his second fight of 2021. He wants to have 4 fights this year. So if he could pull this one off in May, then you've got the September date, and then maybe you've got a late fall or early winter. Like a December fight. Yeah. Thanksgiving. We'll see. Obviously, if he comes unscathed, no injuries, no cuts. But Canelo's never been a guy to cut or even really get marked up. Knock on wood. He's he holds up pretty well. But the local guys here, things are starting to come back. Fights. We just had the fights this past Saturday at in Carson. Not to rehash that too much, but and just going back and reading some comments and reading, because I went and watched a lot of fight predictions, and then everybody now is basically they're just retracting. Well, you know what? I kind of thought there was an opportunity. It's like, no, everybody and their mother thought that Andy Reese was just going to walk through Chris Arreola, and we said it. We just didn't. We never saw it. We just saw something different, and it turned out we were right.
You know what I was wondering, Mike, is Nate Weston. I know know him, don't you?
Yeah.
Is there any way to get him on? Or do you know anything about him? Is he going
to
get any fights?
You know what? He was. You know what? His strength and conditioning coach is a good friend of mine. I actually put him in contact with. I kind of partnered those guys together. I kind of introduced him to George, and he said he was going to come on the show, and my fault. I didn't follow up with Nate, But maybe I'll follow up with him. Maybe be able to get him on. Maybe next week's show. Maybe next Tuesday. Probably not the Sunday show because it's Mother's Day, and I know he's going to be with his wife. They have a small child. He'll probably want to take that day spent with the family, which is understandable. But
I'd love to have him on. I really would. He was on my heart today, and I was actually just thinking about him.
Yeah,
I was like, man, what's happening? Is he gonna?
Yeah, I've met Nate a few times too, man. He's a very impressionable person, very humble person.
Good kid, man. Good. He was an athlete. He was a college football player.
Yeah,
really,
an athlete. Just really sad to see him get the short end of the stick against the other guy. And I know we kind of spewed some venom towards him, but it is what it is. But I heard you guys talk a little bit about Andy Reese, and I know there's a lot of rumors out there about possible matchup with him and King Kong Ortiz. I don't think the Reynosos and Reese and his people I don't think they take that fight. I think based off of their subpar showing against Cristobal Arreola, especially, let's be honest, Arreola's a strong hitter. He's got a big punch, but he doesn't hit like King Kong Ortiz. Go back and look at King Kong Ortiz's resume and what he does to people in the ring. And the difference between Arreola and Ortiz, when Arreola kind of had the brakes on a little bit in the fight, you know what I'm saying? He was fighting a tactical fight. Ortiz, if he kicks you and knocks you down, he's going for blood. It's over.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about let's just talk about that. I know you guys probably already talked about it last weekend or the last show, and I had to leave early. But the Chris Arreola fight, his corner was that Goosen?
Yeah, we talked about that.
What the hell?
The boxing's passed him by.
I was telling Mike about it.
Boxing's passed him by.
I kind of have like the feeling of like when Lomachenko was fighting against Teofimo Lopez, like they were holding him back for a while just to kind of make sure, because for some reason they fed into this guy had more than what he really possessed. Because of that punch that he landed against Anthony Joshua, they thought, well, Chris, let's don't get in an early thing. You might get caught, something like this. And he doesn't hit like that. He never has. That was
never
just
has
thing that happened against Joshua. And Chris is probably going to kick himself in the ass when he goes back and looks at the tape on this fight and go, dude, what was I waiting for?
Yeah.
What he was
Ruiz
numerous times,
stunned him over and over
numerous
and
times.
over again.
Every time he caught him clean, he hurt him.
Oh yeah, every time. And then you get Goosen telling him, "Oh well, you're stand back." Blah blah.
Like I said, the game is past Goosen by. Goosen, when was the last time he had a significant win on a card? He hasn't.
Johnny Molina with Vicky Bay.
Yeah, what was that? 10 years ago.
Yep.
In the last 5 years, he has not had a significant win. He had the one win with Vito Megnicki. Obviously, there was something amiss there. Megnicki left him and went back and went to train somewhere else. And, of course, Megnicki's he's a good kid. He's going to say the right things. Joe taught me a lot. It's like, no, he didn't. He didn't teach you shit. You probably said, this guy's not even my trainer. And truth be told, he's not the trainer. He stands around, does interviews with Ellie Seck back on ES News or whoever else he talks to in his denim, and lets his guy, his name's Will something, lets him work with them. But whatever, that's a whole nother.
That's a whole nother thing too. You know what? During this last bout of fights that we watched, these female, reporters, commentators, whatever what the hell is going on with boxing that they have these young ladies that don't know anything about boxing talking to
I don't know if they're trying to appeal to a different demographic, because nobody tunes into boxing to hear what the announcers during the pre-fight warm-ups have to say. During the fight, they listen to, and they haven't exactly reached for the top with their announce team, their blow-by-blow announce team, because you got Brian Kinney, you got Lennox Lewis. So you love Lennox Lewis. He's a great fighter, great guy, but he just really is. He just fumbles over his words. He's just,
Yeah. And
I'll tell you the one thing. Yeah, I'll tell you the one thing is people give so much crap about guys like Howard Cosell, the way he used to call fights. I'll tell you now, I'll take that any day of the week. At least, maybe he didn't get everything right, but he brought the excitement to it.
I don't know, but he was pretty. If you go back and listen to some of those fights when he was calling Ali fights, he was horrible.
Yeah, as long as he wasn't calling Ali fights.
There was one time where one of the girls was talking about, I like mezcal and what is it? She said Modelo or something like that, because she's talking to a Mexican fighter. And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell does that have anything to do with boxing?
She's just patronizing him.
She was the
new gal.
Horrible.
Anyways, let's talk about.
Sorry to go off the tangent. Sorry.
No, we wanted to talk about AJ. We wanted to wait till you get back. We want to talk about the situation that has come to light with the Felix Verdejo incident. I mean, you could go and read the reports, whatever, you know, this is transcending boxing now. This is not just a boxing story. This is now a movement now in Puerto Rico, because apparently this is something that's not uncommon. These young girls, whatever happens in that culture, the girls are ending up the victims of domestic violence, assault, and sometimes murder, and it just kind of gets washed under the rug. This is a very high profile athlete. You know, I mean, he's not Miguel Cotto, Felix Trinidad status, but he is, you know, very well known in Puerto Rico. He was an Olympian. He had so much promise. He ended up losing. Who did he lose to? His first loss. Got beat up pretty good.
Yeah. I can't think of the guy's name right now, but I know you're talking about the thing I look at with Verdejo. It's that sad, tragic story that sometimes just comes around boxing, where you see a guy with so much promise, a la Edwin Valero, Arturo Gatti, others and stuff like this. Not to say Arturo Gatti, you know, but I mean, just the tragic aspect of how his career ended and stuff. You see it even with retired fighters, like what happened to Hector Macho Camacho, amongst others, guys like, you know, Mike the Bounty Hunter. These are the type of stories that you don't see, that you want to see end for these fighters and stuff. And it's unfortunate because Felix was coming off of probably one of the best fights. Even though he lost that fight, he showed glimpses of what made Verdejo so special when he was coming out, when he was called the next coming of, you know, Wilfredo Gomez, amongst others. And it's really sad to see that this is how it's going to end for Verdejo. Even if for some reason he's able to be, you know, vindicated in this, I don't see how, through some miracle, his reputation is tarnished beyond repair in boxing and stuff. And there's only going to be more focus on it, especially in the times that we live in. It's unfortunate because at 27 years old, Verdejo still had a lot of boxing left in him. And I wouldn't have talked that Nakatani fight is his last hurrah. I think he still had a lot in him. He could have been competitive, possibly even victorious, but it looks like it's the end of the road for Felix Verdejo.
Yeah, and he had made a comment in recent interviews that, you know, now he has a little baby daughter now, and he's married, and, you know, things are, you know, there, it's his motivation and this and that. And I hate to say it, but a lot of fighters just take that template, you know, that pre-prepared script, and they say the same thing, when ultimately, truth be told, on the side, he's got, you know, apparently he had been having an affair with this girl for well over a year. His wife knew about it. There was even talk that his wife was the accomplice in this. That turned out to be false. I read a couple things earlier today that turned out to be false. Either way, a lot of people in recent, and I've actually read a lot of comments, people are talking about trying to basically compare this to the Edwin Valero situation. Edwin Valero, obviously, you know, the undefeated Venezuelan fighter who in a fit of rage, they still don't even know the specific details because they never made it that far, who killed his young wife, right? Didn't harm his children, but killed his wife, and then turned himself into the police. And like within a day, they said they found him. He hung himself in jail. Well, I don't necessarily know if he actually did hang himself or whatnot, but either way, if he did take his own life, that's the only honorable thing to do, because if he came to his senses and the rage calmed down and he said, "Oh, what did I do?" Took his own life. That's the only retribution. That's the only possible punishment. The only thing worse than that would be firing squad or letting the townspeople stone him to death. But with the Verdejo incident, it was premeditated.
Yeah. It was premeditated.
It was premeditated. He met this girl. He met up with her.
He had an accomplice too.
An accomplice. They supposedly injected her with some kind of solution that was supposed to either, they don't know if it was to terminate the pregnancy, if it was to render her unconscious, kill her, who knows? But then they proceeded to tie a cinder block to her and throw her off of a bridge in a lagoon. That's brutal. To me, that's like you're a psychopath. And I'm not excusing Valero. Yeah. But Valero, if you knew how violent he was in the ring and how violent of a fighter he was, he would knock people out in sparring. Multiple fighters in sparring knocked them out. They were running out of sparring partners, kind of like that whole Apollo Creed thing where he was knocking sparring partners up. But this was real life. This wasn't a Hollywood movie. I'm not in any way excusing what Valero did, but I don't think the two are parallel. I don't. I think
no. You're absolutely right, bro. And there was reports too that a person that was associated with the young lady, the victim in this, had made comments that the young lady had met with Verdejo to talk about terminating the pregnancy, and it turned into an argument. That just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, what makes more sense to me is her maybe pressing the issue. you're going to have to stand up. You're going to have to take care of this. You're going to have to give me money, whatever it is. Something triggered Verdejo to do what he did. I'm not a judge. I'm not a jury. I'm not a mind reader. I'm not Nostradamus. We don't know what happened. You can go back to the OJ trial. We don't know. Nobody's ever going to really know. But Felix Verdejo, unfortunately, the young lady who passed away, and anybody else who was associated with it and stuff. So right now, until more light comes to it, it looks like Verdejo's the person of blame. But I've seen weirder things happen. You just never know.
And like I said, he's going
to the family, condolences to the lady. And,
absolutely.
And the baby. And
yeah,
and,
her name.
We totally feel for them. Like AJ said, we're not the judge or jury or anything like that. But you know what? It is coming or becoming more prevalent, this violence with well, quite honestly, head trauma.
Very much
a lot
so.
of times, you know what I mean? You got to really look at that. You know what I mean? So
well,
it crosses sports too. I mean, it's not just boxing. I mean, it crosses sports.
Well, you being an ex-military person, you know what you've suffered from, brother. I've been a victim of numerous concussions through violent sports and other accidents.
That's why we call you AJ Rage.
But I mean, the thing is that it is becoming a trend. I mean, you look even in the football. There was a good movie. I actually never even watched it. My brother Mike's told me so many times to watch it. It's a movie with Will Smith called Concussion. But it'll explain a lot what's going on with a lot of these guys. Go back to Junior Seau, a guy who lived with this chronic pain that I've experienced a lot of times, and it causes this deep depression. He ultimately ended up taking his life. That's never the answer. You know what I'm saying? Seek help, whatever it takes. Yeah. But trauma and head, I find it, Mike found the common denominator between the two, Edwin Valario and Felix Verdejo. They both suffered severe head trauma in a motorcycle accident. I'm not saying that's
nobody's even talking about that.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's an excuse, but believe me, stuff like that happens. It really does. It's just like in music. You know, musicians at any aspect are going to suffer. Myself and my brother Mike, we suffered a bit of hearing loss.
Yes.
Loud sounds trigger us. Like
yes.
Crazy.
Yes. I was just going to say that people have to. If you do your research, and actually our one of our guitar players, his girlfriend is an audiologist, which is a specialist of the ear. And you're right. Loud sounds. I was at a home yesterday. I think it was yesterday or Sunday, showing a home, and a truck drove by with like just this real loud muffler. And he just sped by unnecessarily fast. And it immediately that loud piercing sound just triggered something in me. And I just immediately got like, if I would have had a boulder in my hand, a rock, I would have threw it at the guy's windshield.
Yeah.
But
you do it without thinking, because I mean,
it's just reactionary. It's not even premeditated. It just happens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like the time, so I was working at a place in Las Vegas. I'm not going to say where or when, but somebody popped a balloon right behind me. And if you know me, I get a little shell shock every now and again. I turned around, I punched the guy square in the face. And you know what? He was my employee. Well, I had to pick him up off the ground, wake him up, and say, dude, you cannot do that around.
Yeah, what are you doing, dipshit?
Yeah, what the hell are
medial legs are hard right-handed. The guy is down for the count.
So, NOS Communications.
Yeah. No, but it's true though. Like I said,
it's a claim against that, so I stopped it.
But you don't think it's unfortunate, because honestly, boxing is just starting to really get back to where it needs to be, and something like this is going to overshadow a lot of the success that we've had this year.
Well, between Triller taking headlines and this nonsense now, like I said, I mean, Canelo's probably going, God, this is why this weekend is so important, because we need a good fight. Whether it lasts 1 round or 12 rounds, we need a good, honest fight. And because boxing, it's a violent sport, but it's a beautiful sport. It's a sport. It's the truest competition out there.
It's a sweet science, man.
It's a sweet science. It's an art form. I mean, for you to be able to get into a ring, whether it be 22 feet or 20 feet or whatever the case may be, and face somebody that can hurt you, but you end up, I mean, it's just beautiful. There's a dance to it, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You could even go another step beyond. We saw another tragic situation that happened earlier this week, and that was the Omar Figueroa versus Abel Ramos fight. Going back, I actually went back and I watched some of Omar's past fights that I'd already seen live. in general, I watched his fight against Molina and a few others. This is a young man who absorbed a lot of punches. I don't know how he was able to withstand some of the punches that he took.
From Ugas as well.
Exactly. And I thought to myself, a motorcycle accident can cause serious brain damage, but so can punches. And I think, honestly, at this point, it's more than just Omar Figueroa's health at this point. It's his sanity and where he goes from this point. Because, I mean, let's be honest, he's exhibited all of the things that are attributed to mental illness. Walking to a ring with his sister and no trainer. That this very odd, jumping around, style that just came out of nowhere, that even Joel Diaz seemed kind of miffed by. I see mental illness there. At some point, people within boxing we got to stop this kind of stuff from happening. If you know a guy, what happened to our commission? What happened to the days when they actually evaluated fighters? Was Omar even evaluated before this fight? Because there was something wrong going in this fight. He was burping through the whole fight. There was something weird going on. It still bothers me today.
Yeah. I didn't want to see him go out that way. Yeah.
Very sad. Very, very sad.
But you see that a lot. Sometimes you see fighters out there just take so much punishment. And you're like, God, how does this guy? And you see what ultimately happens to them, and it's sad, but it is what it is, Yeah.
And
his brother's got a fight coming up now. Brandon Figueroa has a fight coming up.
Got a tough fight coming up against Pantera Luis Neri.
A fight that I honestly don't feel Figueroa is going to be victorious in, but we've all been wrong this year. I mean, a la, Oscar Valdez and what happened to Burchell. Neri shows all of the tools that it takes to beat him, but you got to think, what is Brandon? Maybe a little extra motivation, or maybe a little extra drawback going into this fight based on what happened to his brother. What do you think, guys?
I think he's going to be motivated.
Hey, I got to put it on record. I actually said Burchell would win, so you guys could.
No, yeah, no, but I think Figueroa thinks, hey, you know what? I can't be two brothers going down.
Yeah.
Like this, you know what I'm saying? So I think you're right, bro. I think it's going to bring some extra motivation, which might make him take some extra chances, because we all know about Neri and what he's able to do.
Yeah. So, well, the one thing I will say, Figueroa, if he does have any advantages, is that he has been fighting more regularly than Neri. Neri's, obviously, I don't even know who he ended up deciding on to train him for this fight, but he left his trainer.
And Neri didn't look. And Neri, like Burchell, did not look very good in his last bout. Did not look very good in his last fight.
Yeah. So we'll see.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see.
What else we got coming up as far as fights right now?
That's it, I think. I mean, there's nothing else really happening this weekend. I think Canelo has the spotlight this weekend, which is good. There's some few fights next week, obviously. There's a couple coming up the following week. I think ESPN has a card. I don't know what the next big fight is, but I'm just focused this week on the Canelo fight. And hopefully it looks like we are going to have a fight now. They've ironed things out. I just want to focus on that. Like we said, prayers to the young lady. I think her last name was Rodriguez. I don't know her. I don't remember her first name.
Yeah.
Keisha or something, with the one anyways, and then the unborn baby, of course. But yeah, right. So maybe boxing does need to start looking at these guys and doing a little bit better evaluation. They are getting a little bit lax because something's going on with these fighters. It's not just the pre-fight evaluation that they need. Maybe they need a post-fight evaluation. It's like if an officer's involved in a shooting or something, they have to attend some type of counseling. Maybe the same thing should bode well with boxing. Like, okay, well, we're going to check you out right now after the fight. We're going to give you a CAT scan, but next week we want to see you again. The following week we want to see you again. We just want to see where your mental state's at. Obviously, this kid wasn't in the right mental state. Was he that scared? Was he that afraid of having to pay child support? Was he that afraid of his wife?
And that's why I say we don't really know the whole story behind it, but I guarantee you're going to see other competitive organizations, and it doesn't even have to be within the same sport, a la the NFL and other ones, that they have these marketing, these promotional push people that will just try to shine more darkness over boxing in order to, when there's that big playoff game and you got a boxing match, to kind of generate some of their people to come over and stuff. But let's be honest. I remember I used to have a guy that used to play for me years ago, Mike, Michael Moore. He actually spent a little bit of time in the NFL and stuff. And some of the stories he used to tell me, even some of the other guys that I knew that played in the NFL told me these horror stories about what really goes on out there. There's no regard for these guys' safety. Think about it. For every star player you have out there, how many guys make it a season or a half season or never get off the practice squad, take a huge amount of punishment and are just thrown out to the streets? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. that's the common norm now in every sport. It's like, it's almost, people tend to go after horse racing. Well, when a horse is no good, they go to the slaughterhouse. Well, you know what? The NFL, baseball, and boxing have their version. Maybe it's not an actual slaughterhouse, but I think some of these guys would rather go to a slaughterhouse than just get cast to the street with the mental state that they're in.
Yeah, especially full contact and violent contact sports, boxing, football. I mean, even wrestling. Eric, you brought up something earlier. You talked about Chris Benoit, the wrestler who obviously was suffering from something, and he snapped. You would have to snap to kill your wife
and your children.
No, he didn't burn the house down, but he killed his wife. He killed his wife and his child, and then he hung himself in his gym. He tied the weight stack to his neck and then let it go. And I mean, yeah,
it just seems, like I said. I mean,
hey guys, I'm sorry. On a hilarious note, I guess you might say. Let's get off the gloom and doom for a second. Are you kidding me that Floyd Mayweather is going to fight this jackass in June?
I really don't even want to talk about it, but I'll tell you.
I won't even talk about it.
But I'll just say this, Mike. Why don't you go ahead and say what Canelo said about it?
Well, he said it's just an insult to real boxers, and the fact that these guys, they're giving boxing licenses to non-boxers it's an insult.
Yeah,
someone's going to get hurt, and then they're going to pay the price.
Well, here's a bigger issue though. Floyd Mayweather, at what point has he pretty much tarnished his legacy?
Yeah. This is the icing on the cake right here.
Yeah, I mean, when you give a guy, I mean, you got to understand, there were fighters like Canelo. There were fighters. How long did it take Manny Pacquiao, a guy who had won 8 world titles, to finally get his shot against Mayweather? But because Mayweather feels this guy deserves that opportunity out of nowhere, are you kidding me?
Mayweather's running out of money. That's what it comes down to.
Something's going on.
He's not making his money work for him.
Yeah, he's not good for boxing. I've said this to so many people.
We do have other matches. The day before the Canelo Alvarez fight, we have Liam Smith and
that's the one, Liam Smith.
That's right. He's fighting in Russia. He's going over to Russia to fight
Magomed Kurbanov. I guess
it's gonna be a tough fight.
Undefeated Kurbanov. Yeah,
we talked about it, Mike.
On the 14th, we have Heather Hardy and Jessica Camaro. What do you guys know about that?
Heather Hardy, I mean, yeah, I like Heather Hardy. Her last big fight was against Serrano, where it looked like she was going to make it out of the first round, but
Jessica Camino, right?
Yeah,
I know she is. Yeah, she's a tough fighter. That's going to be a good. Women's boxing starting to heat up, and everything outside of Clarissa Shields, of course.
And then of course you got the Lewis Neary, Figueroa, Terry Harper versus Hyun Mi Choi.
Don't even know who those guys are.
Jose Ramirez and Josh Taylor.
That's a great fight. That fight's happening. Matter of fact,
May 22nd.
That's the 22nd. That's the night that Munguia is fighting. Same night.
No, Munguia is fighting the 19th.
Oh, the 19th. That's right. June. My bad. May 22nd. There's
June
another
19th.
Fight happening May 22nd.
And he still doesn't have an opponent, right, Mike?
And Carlos Molina is happening on that night. And then, just that.
No. Munguia does. The Sulecki fight was rescheduled.
Oh, so he is getting Sulecki again.
Yeah, the Polish guy.
Okay.
Yeah,
but that's in June, isn't it?
June, that's right. June 19th or 6th.
And then of course we got all these exhibitions. Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. versus Hector Camacho,
Junior.
Junior. Yeah, they've got Jaime Munguia and Sulecki on the 19th.
Yeah,
that's Charlo versus Montiel on the 19th.
Munguia's old victim that nobody wants to talk about.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. Munguia actually knocked out Montiel in 2 rounds a few years back. Yeah.
Back at 154, and this fight's at 160, right?
But I'm going to say it again, bro. We talked about there's a big difference. They may be twins, they may only have seconds apart, but there's a huge difference in the fight mentality between Jamal and Jamel. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they have a huge difference in how they approach boxing. To me, Jamel is the more aggressive one, the one who's actually seeking to be, in some ways, daring to be great. His brother, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think he just wants to be a gatekeeper. I have no idea. What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, it's
June.
That fight's that's still a ways away. Yeah. I haven't really broken it down. I mean, I did watch the Munguia destruction of him, and that was at 154. Yeah. So how's this guy if he's getting knocked out by 154, what's he think he's gonna do at 160?
Exactly.
It's a poor choice of an opponent.
I agree.
At first glance, it's a poor choice of an opponent.
I think he loses all his argument that Munguia doesn't want him if he's willing to go fight Munguia scraps. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Well, June actually looks like it's gonna heat up to some decent little fights. I mean, we've got Davis and Barrios fighting on the 26th. Gervonta Davis and Barrios, and then we got Lomachenko versus
Nakatani.
Yeah, Nakatani. That should be a good fight, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, that we have to devote a show to that, guys.
No, yeah, we're gonna devote a show to that one.
That's a big fight. That's Lomachenko's comeback fight, and Nakatani's coming off of a big win over Verdejo, who we were just talking about.
Yeah.
So
and you know, we had
AJ, on your birthday, there's a fight. Guillermo
Rigondeaux.
Oh yeah, Rigondeaux
and John Casimiro.
Joel Casimiro. That's a great fight.
Yeah.
Well, that's because Rigondeaux has the same birthday as mine.
Oh, well, there you go.
That's why.
Yeah, that's gonna be a great fight. Rigondeaux versus Casimiro, the Filipino. That's gonna be a great fight.
That'd be good.
It's gonna be a very good fight. Yeah, but I mean,
and then shortly after that is Benavidez, right? Benavidez fighting again. David Benavidez and Jose Uzcategui.
He's a fight against Useki.
Useki, yeah.
No.
August 28th.
Uzcategui.
Yeah,
Uzcategui. Yeah.
Uzcategui. He used to train with Jaime in TJ.
He's the one that lost to that beat Durrell.
He beat Durrell, but he lost to Caleb Plant.
Well, we got some good stuff to talk about over the next couple of months anyway.
Yeah,
we do. I'll tell you out of all those fights, though, I'm really excited about the Lomachenko fight, but I'm really excited about the Tank Davis Mario Barrios fight. The more I look at it, this is based off of that. I don't want to get too much into it because I know we're getting ready to sign off, but based off of go back and watch Tank Davis's fight against Santa Cruz. It was not a walkover you kind of felt like it was because it ended so devastatingly, but Mario Barrios is a whole nother monster, man. I'm telling you, man. Mario Barrios this is a legitimate,
and he might be out for blood this time. You know what I mean?
You agree, Mike?
Yeah, no, I agree. We talked about that. Yeah, we'll talk about obviously as it close to the fight, but yeah, this is the big step up for Tank. You got to give him credit for this. They see something, obviously. I don't know what they see because Barrios is a big, strong kid, but I guess we'll know.
Yeah, we'll know. Yeah, exactly. So what time we at, guys?
Like you said,
we're about 10 after 7. Hey, I want to show you guys something before we sign off. Sure. Look at these were part of my birthday present this year. Look at my new 16-ounce.
Nice.
Fleto Reyes gloves. These things are amazing.
Those are puncher's gloves. Gloves.
Well, it's kind of they're 16 ounces though. It's kind of hard to.
But I mean, technically, Reyes have always been known.
No, Reyes is these are good gloves though, but they take a little bit of breaking in. I got to break them in. I've used them a couple of times, but these are good sparring gloves, AJ. So when you come to the gym and we get
dude, you sparring, let me know. I'm not worried. I'm not worried about it, dude. I already got one tooth broken, dude. I can break several others now, dude. So it's all right.
You know what? Hey, we got the Flash versus the Rage. I mean, yeah.
No. I want AJ. We're gonna get AJ some sparring over here. Somebody who must spar somebody over here at the gym. We'll get him somebody.
That's good.
We'll get an AmFam to come in or something.
I don't know if I want to fight that guy, dude. That guy kind of scares me, dude. He's like an Energizer buddy, dude. I'm like, hey, hold on now. Let me get a breath here for a second. I saw that guy go 8 rounds nonstop, dude.
Well, so Michael, any of those guys, quite honestly, there is a huge difference in the hitting strength of these young people nowadays. So it's yeah.
I want Johnny to come out of retirement. I want to get the Gladiator. I got to give him one more time. I want him, dude. All right, guys.
Hey, guys, we're about 10 minutes over. So thanks for tuning in. Good show, guys. We'll be back this weekend to wrap up this weekend's action. Hopefully, like I said, the fight goes off unscathed and we actually get some good undercards. I'm not too excited about the undercards, but then again, there's still fights and something could come out of nowhere and surprise us. Could end up stealing the show. So
is this fight, just real quick, bro, is this fight pay-per-view or is it just for DAZN?
It's on DAZN. It's on DAZN.
Okay.
So subscribe to DAZN if you don't already have a subscription. I mean, it's worth it, I think, because
it's worth it.
Entire year, pay for the year.
Enter the Ring, brought to you by DAZN.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and cut it there. I'm ready to eat dinner. I'm starving. For all of us at Enter the Ring Live, I'm Mighty Mike.
I'm AJ Rage.
And I'm Eric the Red.
Have a good night.